Right here, we got David named not suspect by police in new update, which I think is crazy because in the last situation we react to, a lot of people were commenting that it's insane that he hasn't even been named a suspect, much less charged or put behind bars, considering the fact that, like, if it was one of us in an even remotely similar situation, they would have put us behind bars. Like we were saying, and like people were saying in the comments, people have been put in jail for far less on much less speculation with much less evidence. But hey, let's just get into seeing what the situation is all about.
Multiple media outlets have reported that David has not been named as a murder suspect in Celeste Rivas's case. Police confirm in a new statement, and this was reported by Daily Loud, Drama Alert, Say Cheese, Rap House, E! News, BET, and many other media outlets in regards to the latest updates surrounding this case. Now, one thing I do want to make abundantly clear is that just because he has not been yet named as a suspect in this case does not mean that the police, law enforcement, FBI is not watching him as a potential suspect. So to make things abundantly clear, I'm pretty sure police and detectives on—
But why would they go out of their way to make a statement that he's not a suspect if that's the case? I mean, I'm not saying that that's not true. They could very well be watching me for all I know, nigga. Like, who knows, right? They'll name me a suspect before they name this nigga a suspect at this point. But like, why would they go out of their way to make a statement like that if that's the case, right? Like, that just doesn't make any sense.
This case are sitting on a boatload of evidence of which they're probably going to use to prosecute David. You know, of course, people are upset and angry about this. They're questioning why he has not been locked up already.
I'm not upset or angry. I'm genuinely confused because it's like, it's just odd, bro.
As if police officers nationwide haven't arrested people for much, much less. Of course, David being in a privileged position, regardless of where you believe that privilege is coming from, is the reason for why he has not been behind bars yet, obviously. But of course, when you're dealing with someone, you know, this rich, this powerful, with this many connections, not saying like the guy's like the Joker or anything, but he is rich, so he can afford to hire the best lawyers.
He did hire Darren Sharper's lawyer, so if you know, you know. That's actually pretty crazy. So he's making a valid point right now, I won't lie.
And that is exactly what he's done. As according to independent.com, independent media outlet, they say David hires Harvey Weinstein lawyer as police investigate how teenager's body came to be found in his Tesla. And if we all know who Harvey Weinstein is, media Hollywood mogul who got outed in the Me Too era. And actually, I'm not entirely sure if he's still in prison or not. I believe he went to prison. I'm not sure if he's out yet, but that's a little background on the type of lawyer he just hired to—
Yeah, that lawyer ain't no joke. I forgot what her name is, but she ain't no joke.
Defend him in this case. And as you can see here from ABC News, they say in their article that teen's cause of death still undetermined after body found in David's Tesla, death certificate reveals. And the latest news I heard was that the two possible ways of death she could have died, right, was either by overdose, drug overdose, or strangulation. That is the likely probable scenarios that a lot of internet sleuths, detectives, and people online suspect to be the case.
I'm no sleuth, I'm no detective, but I'm interested to know if they'll be able to get a toxicology report. I doubt it, honestly. It seems unlikely, but if they do get that, that will be very telling. That's kind of like what I've been waiting to see, but no reports. Apparently they have a death certificate now, so it's like, is there going to be a toxicology report, period? Seems unlikely at this point, but that would have probably been the most telling piece of evidence as to like the cause of her ultimate demise.
Death certificate revealing few clues about how Celeste Rivas died, only that she was not pregnant. The cause of death listed as deferred as the coroner and detectives work to figure out how the 15-year-old's decomposing body ended up in the front trunk of a Tesla registered to singer David.
In order for there to be a prosecution, law enforcement has to find some key pieces of information when it comes to a potential homicide. First, they actually need to figure out if it's a homicide or not, and the autopsy report will help give them that. Then they have to figure out the who and the how in order to bring charges.
So as we just heard, her death certificate pretty much has her cause of death as deferred, which pretty much means they cannot rule out a specific cause of death. And it does indicate that she was not pregnant, as the newscaster said. So obviously, with a little common sense here, we can all assume that detectives, they've seen everything we've seen. They've seen all the reports, the documents, the videos, the audio, the Discord logs, the TikTok posts, the pictures with Celeste. They know that was his girlfriend. They know that he was with her. They know that he was likely keeping her in his house.
They I don't think you can go as far as to say they know, because like allegedly, speculatively, you know, like legally you can't say you know those things, especially like from a law enforcement point of view or a persecution, like a legal persecution point of view. But a lot of what's out there in terms of like evidence and circumstantial stuff kind of like points to that. But I think the reason they have to come out and be like she's not pregnant is because that pretty much would have been the only way to confirm if they actually did have a relationship, because if she was pregnant and then it ended up being like David's child, for example, through like a DNA analysis, then that would have like automatically confirmed a bunch of things. First of all, he was having a relationship with a minor as an adult, which is bad, but also that they had a relationship, period. And then it could have also given like probable cause for, or like motive, not probable cause, for him to actually commit this like very atrocious act, because allegedly, speculatively, like if he did do it, because it could maybe be like, holy crap, like I got a minor pregnant, this is gonna be bad, like, you know, I gotta take care of this type shit. So it's like, it's very interesting that they would put that information out there, but it does make sense for them to put it out as the only bit of like actual known evidence or like known information from like the autopsy report.
And that she likely died in his house. Something went very wrong there. I don't know what specifically happened, but we are assuming that there are many different possibilities. Maybe she tried to leave. Maybe she didn't want to stay with him anymore. Maybe she got pregnant. Maybe he didn't want the world to find out. Maybe she wanted to go public, right, and he had to keep it all under wraps, right? So this is going to be a very long case. Cases like this sometimes even take years and years to figure out what truly happened, right? So with that said, although I know a lot of people are angry and mad and are upset, David is not yet listed as a suspect in this case, although
I think it's very likely also that it could end up just being like that concealment situation that they were talking about in that video from yesterday. I'll link it down below, but they were basically saying that like maybe she overdosed, and so he didn't like, you know, end her life per se, but then he tried to conceal the situation, or someone in close relationship to him tried to conceal the situation, and that's how she ended up in the situation that she did. But the dismembering kind of like takes it a step too far, and then they were talking about how that's like a low-level felony or maybe even a misdemeanor depending on where you're at. Like mutilation of a dead body is a misdemeanor in California. That's just insane.
So behind the scenes, he may be a potential suspect. It's going to be very hard to likely pin this murder on him, since the body's decomposition or state of decomposition prior to it being found in that Tesla was very severe, to the point to where people initially thought it was chopped up through the verbiage of dismembered. But to state this again, the body was not likely chopped up by David. It was just naturally dismembered or falling apart due to the natural decomposition of the human body, or any corpse for that matter.
That's insane. That actually paints this in a completely new light. Wow.
The heat in a tightly compact space like the front of a Tesla trunk, in the raging heat in a California environment in the middle of the summer. I mean, good God, I'm hearing reports that she may have been dead for at least 4 weeks before being discovered in that Tesla. Also, according to E! News, they say David's manager speaks out amid Celeste Rivas Hernandez's death investigation. However, the manager, by the name of John Marshall, he came out and said, and I quote, "This has been a tough time for my family as I am a father of 3 children." He said, and I quote, "Also, I work remotely 95% of the time, and my job doesn't require me to have much interaction with any of my clients."
Yeah, he went out of his
David,
way to
as there
really
are
distance
many
himself
others
from
that
this.
work with him on a day-to-day capacity. Not me. This news is tragic for so many, and for her family, I hope the proper authorities get to the bottom of it soon. The article also goes on to say, in addition to noting, and I quote, "A lot of this is speculation and alleged." Marshall concluded with, and I quote, "In the meantime, I'm with my family helping them emotionally get through the news of this tragedy." E! News has reached out to Marshall for comment, but has not yet heard back. I'd also like to note that his manager goes by the name of J Mogul on Instagram. His bio says music exec, manager, father and house husband, mogul vision, play chess and not checkers, right?
Bro had to put his account on private.
Generic shit. But clearly this guy's page is now private, and he does not want to be associated with this whatsoever. Although David, I believe, was his top creator, his top artist.
Had to be.
The moneymaker for this guy.
Had
So
to be.
obviously now he's trying to distance himself. So yeah, that's pretty much it for today's update on that case.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie to you. That lawyer must be cold for him to not even named a suspect, bro. All-star lawyer. First team all-pro lawyer. Gotta be. What's her name? Blair Burke. There we go. Her name was familiar because I remember her from the Darren Sharper case. Yeah, because like Darren Sharper was like a serial It was insane. She must be cold for this man to not be named a suspect, not be detained, not be brought in for questioning, not charged, not obviously not convicted. You need to go through legal proceedings to be convicted, but nothing, bro. I'm just saying, if it was me, they would have convicted me already, bro. My case would have happened. They would have convicted me and I'd be in jail if I did that shit or not. You know what I'm saying? They might fuck around and convict me and I don't even live around that area. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's just real interesting, bro. It's real interesting. I'm not saying he did or he didn't, allegedly, speculatively, all of those things, but it's just an interesting situation. Let me know what you think down below. Like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.